Oppenheimer opened this weekend, guys, and did you go out and see it? Oppenheimer is directed by Christopher Nolan and stars Cillian Murphy and a huge cast with Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Alden Ehrenreich, Jason Clarke. Oh, you're going to hate Jason Clarke in this movie. And just a whole bunch of other people that show up. You're just like, wow, I didn't know that they were in this movie. Kenneth Branagh. And it's an experience that you have to see on the big screen, I would say. The sound design for Oppenheimer is key. Your theater seat will shake, literally, while you're watching Oppenheimer. It's like when this thing goes off. But it's just not that. Nolan infuses like his thought process of like what this bomb will do and stuff like that. So every now and then we get like flashes of like the world blowing up and stuff like that, and it's just like it's just infused in this movie, and that dread of like, oh my god, what did I just do? I just handed humanity the ability to like destroy itself, and it weighs in on Oppenheimer, and Cillian Murphy executes that absolutely brilliantly as our main character in this movie. Were you thinking that he should, yes, be nominated for this performance? Robert Downey Jr. also really good in this, and this movie does a good job of putting in like black and white sequences to show transitions between like flashbacks and stuff. So it's not a full linear film. This is what they call a non-linear film. So it's kind of like it's told in chunks and stuff like that. But like the pacing of it, it moves well when you are invested. My main criticism, my straight out of the theater reaction, I said this. It felt a little muddled to begin with, because you got all these storylines going around. They're trying to establish things to pay off later on, and it takes a little bit of time for all of that stuff to come around. But Christopher Nolan brings it around, and you're like, oh, that's why we needed to have that scene there. But when it does, this movie just moves like that, and it's like, wow. This is an extremely well-crafted film. The acting in it, as I said, is like top drawer, man. I just acting, being on set with the other actors, it just must have been like an absolute pleasure. Florence Pugh is in this as well. But yeah, Cillian Murphy is the standout, and like they wrestle with the morality of it all, and they do something cool in this too, where they sort of break the fourth wall in like he's being harassed about like his security clearance and stuff like that because of his political ties and stuff like that, and there's points in it where it's like, is anybody ever gonna ever know the truth of what actually happened here? And that's like Christopher Nolan going wink, wink, right, at us, because he's trying to tell us what really happened here, right? And it's a phenomenal theatrical experience. I saw it in an AVX theater. I wanted to go to the IMAX, but it was booked. I wasn't one of those people that went into the IMAX theater and had technical issues. I've been hearing reports of that, but we'll talk about that on our movie news show that we do on a daily basis there on the weekdays. We'll talk about that kind of stuff. But you just come out of this and you're like, wow, man, that's a theatrical experience, because Universal, they got to be happy with this. It did extremely well at the weekend's box office. It made like 80 million, and Emily Blunt in this too plays the wife, and she's got her own issues there, and it's just so well crafted. Like the smallest little scene that they do, the smallest little thing, and you're like, they spent time developing this scene, how they should be and stuff like that. It's just that craftsmanship pays off. Like I came out of the theater and I was like, Matt Damon always looked like he was uncomfortable in his uniform here. Was it too tight? Was it a conscious choice of things? But it's like that kind of craftsmanship that pays off in Oppenheimer. And I think this one is hopefully going to have the staying power to get some awards consideration, at least on the technical levels as well. Jack Quaid is in this. Josh Hartnett, I said in my initial reaction, because it's just other, like the surrounding cast in this it's breathtaking. I'm overusing that word, I feel, but it's kind of like it's warranted. It's totally warranted. Let's see if we can give some nods to some other actors in here as well. And as Jason Clarke, he plays like an interrogator kind of thing, and you are going to hate him. He does such a good job at it. It's just like, he's the kind of guy that you're like, you don't trust that guy. You know what he's up to. He's a dirty kind of thing, like a dirty birdie or whatever they call him. And then, you know, the small cameos that'll show up in this movie, like the president who plays the president, and this will be like, wow, wasn't expecting that. But of course, when that actor shows up, you'll be like, he's top tier. He's worked with Nolan before, and he delivers. Just a small little scene. That guy's a chameleon. That's what this movie has, and it's just infused with it all. Now, some of the criticisms. What would I say is the criticism in this? Did it have to be 3 hours? I would say maybe there's just a touch, a few things that could be cut out, but I would say no. This is a movie that's worthy of that 3 hour mark. It totally is. Because there's things that happen in it where it's like, oh, okay, now the bomb's gone off. What's left to tell? But what you're like, oh, I don't want to. We still got some time. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. You're not going to be like looking at your watch, because once you realize what the actors are doing and what they're bringing to the table, they just suck you in. They draw you in. You're just like, I'm invested in this scene. I want to see where this is going and how this is going to be all playing out. It's Oppenheimer. It's just like, wow. It's got to be up there as Christopher Nolan's best, one of his best up there. For me, still Inception is just a masterpiece. This has probably got to be up there in the top 3, though, man. For like Inception, maybe Prestige, and this. I know a lot of people like Interstellar as well, man, but just like looking at the tomato meter, 94 by the critics, 94 by the audience. This is just, it's a well-deserved 80 million domestically for its opening weekend, 174 worldwide. When this had a smaller budget, well, smaller, $100 million budget, if you call that small. But it's totally worth looking at, guys. I can't give this movie enough praise. It's going to be in the top 10 of the year for me, for sure. So far, it's the front runner for the best show of probably July. And I know that's tough to say because it's Barbenheimer weekend. Barbie just came out, and that also was really, really good. So let's take a look at some of the snapshot reviews and see if we agree with them. Let's take a look at, I haven't read any of these, so let's go take a look at digital trends. Not since The Master, perhaps, has a filmmaker used the large gauge to such intimate effect, making a vast canvas from one man's troubled features. Or, well, yeah. Cillian Murphy here, too. It's cool because they talk about physics and stuff like that. They don't bore you with all that stuff. It's like the moral implications of it all. He has some really cool scenes with Einstein in this, too. It's just, I want to see it again almost. It's just like, that's how well crafted it is. Let's take a look at some other ones here. I want to take a look at a negative one and see if we agree with that. That's what I want to do. I want to see if we can find a negative one. Observer UK says, for the most part, the film is a towering achievement. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Oppenheimer delivers, and it's part of a double feature like Barbenheimer. The hype was real, man. The hype was real. The movie buff says, led by a towering and career best performance by Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer stands tall as Christopher Nolan's most terrifying yet beautiful work. Terrifying is a good word to describe too. Like, As I said, there's a good relationship dynamic there between the wife and Oppenheimer. That Emily Blunt and him just they take each other's scenes and just like they elevate it, and there's like um, a silent communication between them. Like they can tell what they're thinking just looking at each other. Like, is it time yet? Is it time? They're like that translates to us as the audience, and that's just the craftsmanship from Nolan and the abilities of Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt. Coming, reaching out to us in the theater and saying, whoa. Yeah, let's take a look at somebody who didn't like it. Fat guys at the movies, never even heard of them. Bloated and overblown, Nolan shows little respect and understanding of actual science while he builds a convoluted narrative. Now, again, so that convoluted narrative, that just goes to what my initial reaction was to the movie. Remember when I came out and I said, oh, it's got all these threads coming around. It's got storylines over here and this. And it's like, okay, it's not told in the traditional sense of, like, here's our first act, here's the problem, here's the second act, and which is the bulk of the story. It's not told a little bit like that. It's told, as I said, in a non-linear kind of style, but it all sets up and works towards payoffs. And boy, those payoffs pay off big, man, especially from the acting department and the revelations from Robert Downey Jr. too at the end is just like Forbes didn't like it. It's the delivery that leaves me a little cold, a little dizzy, but not fun dizzy. The twists that make a film like Interstellar so powerful simply doesn't work in a true story quite effectively. I don't know about that. But as you can see, like, you can go out there and read the reviews. Like, it's rated R for, like, it has some sexual content in it as well. Some the scenes that only Christopher Nolan can direct. It's like, no, guys, it's not. It's not like that. It's very adult in theme for sure, but it pays off. And as you can see, I'm just like elated. I'm overjoyed, but to talk about this movie, that's how good it is. And the sound design, as I said, your theater will shake. It's just boom. And it's not just for the bomb as well. It's just the way that it's crafted and all put together. 94%, guys. I can't disagree. Like, as I said, there's like that little bit of a nuance. Like, could it have been maybe 5-10 minutes shorter? Maybe. But that doesn't, like, at the end, they might as well just keep it all together as the 3-hour movie and have all that goodness in there. Does it gloss over a little bit of some of the events? Like, what was it? The demon sphere, the demon ball, when they were trying to put together the uranium or whatever, and the guy had the screwdriver. That they kind of gloss over a few things like that. But overall, guys, I think I would have to agree with the critics and the audience for my score for Oppenheimer. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm giving this movie a 9.5 out of 10. That's it. Did you guys go and see Oppenheimer? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains. Next up, we will be talking about that Barbie movie. It is Barbenheimer weekend, so come join us for that. If not, I'll see you next time here on Mirror Domains. Okay. So, yeah, what was it? Demon Orb. Was it Demon Core? Sorry, Demon Core. Yeah, that's what it was called, right? And then the guy who like when it like he was using a screwdriver to balance it and it fell off, so he put his arm in to knock it so that things didn't blow up. They kind of glossed over that a little bit, but because I was looking at it and I was like, okay, who's going to be the actor who plays that role, right? And they kind of gloss over that just a touch. Physicist Harry Daglin. Oh, it was that guy. Acute radiation syndrome. So going to the Oppenheimer cast, Harry Daglin. Let's take a look at who was in there. He was the guy that went to sort of slightly betrayed him, I guess, towards the end. But he He went like in Fat Man and Little Boy, he was played by John Cusack, right? Because that's where I know it mostly from, was that movie, Fat Man, because they make the bombs, right? The Fat Man and Little Boy that they send to Japan, and they go into that stuff brilliantly too, like the whole should we or shouldn't we, which city should we drop it on, and stuff like that. Heisenberg is in this. Um, Harry Dacklin. Why am I not seeing that in the cast, guys? Maybe you should have researched this just a little bit better, James. Oh, mercy. Well, am I not reading that right? Just give it a quick little more seconds. More seconds. Oh, it does say who played the president. It was Gary Oldman. Yeah, yeah. When he shows up, I was like, he did a good job too. He did a good job too. Yeah. Um, Gary Oldman's one, like, he's worked with him so many times before, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, what a chameleon too. Like, he transformed into that role brilliantly. Um, Concerned scientist is somebody. Okay, yeah. Um, the political stuff, like him having dealings with like the Communist Party and stuff like that. I understand that it was necessary. I like to tell like a part of the story. Lewis Strauss, played by Robert Downey Jr., was good in this. Kind of like that betrayal there towards the end. That's what like what I mean by they augment the story with that kind of relationship twist, where it's kind of like, well, I didn't expect them to be actually that kind of a bad guy, but Borden. David Dastmalchian is also in this. Another go-to for Christopher Nolan was in this as well. Rami Malek showing up in this was also kind of surprising. So is that guy not in this movie? Maybe I got it wrong here, guys. Maybe he wasn't even involved with that. Maybe that's why he wasn't in this movie. The quarter of shipment was the third nuclear weapon to be used in Japan. Okay. All right. Yeah, but this guy was played in Oppenheimer. I'm pretty sure that guy, because he testified against him, right? Because he wanted to, he wanted to make the hydrogen bomb. He wanted to make more, right? Is that? Yeah, there's the scene from Fat Man and Little Boy that I'm talking about. I thought he was, and yeah, when he put his hand in, he's like, "Okay, everybody, mark where you are with chalk," and he does calculations to figure out how much radiation he was exposed to.